morning, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. This is JF Cree Freedom, and today I just felt led to share a dream that I had. So I get dreams from time to time, and I write them down if if they stick out to me or seem very vivid, because I don't always know if it, well where they're from. But anytime I get a dream about a topic that I don't know, it's interesting for me to look it up later and see if it's right or wrong. And I do not know who this is for. So, if you happen to live in New York City, this might be pertinent to you. This is a dream about New York City, and I don't know I didn't title it or anything. But I'm just gonna go ahead and share it and then share some of the research that I found about New York. And yeah, I've never been anywhere further north than Washington, D.C., so I did not realize, I don't even know much about New York. So here's the dream. This is from August 2020. I dreamt that I was traveling by water with my sister, and we were going into the city of New York. Like it was nighttime, and we were traveling on tubes. So we were like sitting on tubes going into New York in the water. And we were trying to get to the middle of the city. And then we found this group that they could go faster and they could go by boat, like under the city. So we went with this group and we went into a building and they took us down some stairs and we went to the bottom and they had this huge door that looked like the Mickey Mouse when he's whistling, that Disney logo. It was like one of those spinning type of doors that's like very secure. Um, I mean, like on the Mickey Mouse logo is like a wheel, and that's what the door kind of looks like, one of those big wheels that you have to turn. And we opened the door and we went underneath the building to get into this boat. So we were like riding the boat on the water underneath the city. And then we went into this area. Well, it was just all underwater, but then we got out of the boat, we came out of the door, and we went into this building. And it was like this really fancy hotel or like this mansion, and there was a field next to it. So if you're from New York, I don't even know where the beautiful areas are, but we were very close to the city, but it was a very nice area, very rich. There was a taxi, and we were still wanting to go to downtown. So I asked the driver the price for taking us downtown, and he said it would be like $1,000, and we didn't have that much money, and we couldn't afford it. So we went back into the building, and we went down and we opened one of those doors, like the very special door. It's like watertight type of door. We opened it, we went down into the sewer again, and we went back onto or it was just water in the dream. We went onto another craft, like a boat type of thing, and we traveled further into the city. And my goal in the dream was to see a meteorite shower in downtown at night. So we traveled further into the city and we finally made it to downtown. I don't know how we knew where we were, but we made it downtown and we came out from the sewer again through the door to see the meteorite shower. And then somehow in the dream, I felt like I was like higher up, like on top of a building to see the meteorite shower, something like that. Or maybe we traveled through the whole building to get to the roof. I can't remember exactly what happened. But the water, every time we went to the water, it was always under a trapdoor, and the trapdoor was always very secure, and it was always at the bottom of the building. And then after I had this dream, I went ahead and Googled New York waterways just to see if there was anything. And I came across an article, I think it's by the New York Times. I will link it in the description box. And it says it's called Tracing the Waterways Beneath the Sidewalks of New York. And it has a map of New York and it shows the water that like goes in little swirls under the buildings. So I thought that was really neat, and I'm going to read you part of this article. And this artist basically traced some of these waterways with chalk on the sidewalk. It says on Friday afternoon, using blue chalk paint, Stacy Levy plans to palpate a few sidewalks on the Upper East Side of Manhattan to visualize the path of a stream, now out of sight, that has been running since ancient times. Water doesn't stop flowing because subways, shops, and towers are built over streams and ponds. Much of New York City before European settlement was a rich, wet archipelago. Nature is not kicked out of the city, said Miss Levy, an environmental artist. Searching for the city's vanished waterways has become a form of specialized detective work, much of which begins with the Fila map, and the map is in the article. In 1865, Colonel Egbert Fila, a West Point, or you might say Vila, a West Point graduate who served as the chief engineer for Central and Prospect Parks, charted every existing waterway in Manhattan and laid the map across the street grid. It records a city that had not yet been topographically reshaped to make room for its explosive growth in the second half of the 19th century. Today, very little of those waterways can be seen without an intense exploration in sewer lines. But the map is digitally online in the collection of David Rumsey at davidrumsey.com and still used by developers in Manhattan. So I thought that was interesting. And then I'll just read a little bit more because I try to keep my videos short. A detail of the map of the waterways shows Devor's Mill Stream in dark green running into the East River. So there's a very large one of these waterways. The stream being traced made its way along the east side of Manhattan, with some of it captured in a pond in the southeast corner of Central Park, and other branches eventually flowing into the East River at 47th Street. Historical texts show that a kissing bridge crossed it around 50th Street, and the name of the waterway appears to have been Devor's Mill Stream, said Steve Duncan, who has explored and documented the city's watercourses past and present. In New York, we were blessed with plentiful natural streams, said Mr. Duncan. Clear lines with an origin and an endpoint. That is not how they work in real life. Water is feeding in all along the path. Engineers in the 19th century followed these old watercourses in building sewer lines, he said. Today, an especially large sewer line runs east along 47th Street, where the stream ran to the river. When the weather is dry or not very rainy, the combined storm water runoff and domestic sewage is captured before it gets to the river and sent south to a treatment plant in Brooklyn. When there's too much flow, both untreated sewage and stormwater go through the large sewer line beneath the United Nations and then into the East River. Noting that the pond in Central Park, fed by the same stream, is relatively clean, Mr. Duncan said it didn't stay that way after heavy rain. As soon as it comes out of the park, we mix it with the combined sewage. And then there's Matthew Molina. He is the executive director of NYC H2O, and they have talks apparently that are very technical about water. So that was some of the highlights I had from the article that I found. Maybe this is like common info if you live in New York City, but I don't know. I just know that I felt led to share this dream and share the info that I found, and I will link the article below. I will link it, and yeah. God bless you, and if this does apply to you, or this was interesting to you, or you're in New York City, or anything, would love to hear from you and what you have to say.